There have been many yogis in the past who still are in some ways. They retain the subtlest part of their body intact and just let it be. Whenever they feel it's necessary, they are capable of recreating their old bodies. This is called as Nirmanakayas. Such people are known as Nirmanakayas who recreate their own body. Gauthama, the Buddha, is supposed to be one of the Nirmanakayas. There are many others who recreate their own body as it was then, a youthful body as they liked it. Maybe this is 100 years later, 1,000 years later, whatever number of years, because number of years is not at all the issue. What you call as time is, for this body, one kind of time, for another body, another kind of time, isn't it? See, for your body, 10 years means this much, 20 years means that much, 30 years means this much, 70 years means that much, it's like this. Suppose you take a dog, your 1 year, maybe 15 years for him, in his experience, isn't it? If you take an insect, maybe your 1 day is 50 years for him, because in 2 days he'll be gone. So the experience of time and the way life experiences time is very different. In the life of this planet, 100 years maybe just a second, we don't know the calculation, but it's very small, isn't it? So this is not just from human perspective. It is not about comparing everything to our lifetime and coming to it. Even in the perspective of that creature's life, it is so. Maybe not the same way as we calculate, but it's different in its perspective. Just passed off like that, isn't it? Another day you're unhappy, 24 hours feels like a year, isn't it? So time is always a relative experience. As your energies get more intense, you will see time just flies faster and faster. If you're in a very intense state, 24 hours feels like just a minute, just goes. So, now suddenly time is not an issue. What you think as 100 years later is nothing, just a moment later. So maybe just a moment later he came back, but you think he came back 500 years later. In his experience, he just turned around and came back. But in your experience, it's 500 years later. The more I talk about it, the more nonsensical it'll become. Because there is a point beyond which you cannot speak logically. Today, do you know, modern science is talking about fuzzy logic? Fuzzy logic means no logic, but they're unwilling to admit that they are becoming illogical.